the Early Childhood Education Center is where I was writing a lot of songs and kind of writing different activities and segments and kind of feeling into what works and what doesn't, and also like kind of breaking through that first level of like, here's what I think that kids are going to want to do, or here's the kind of music I think they're going to want to hear, and here's where I'm completely wrong, and they're going to teach me, they're going to show me what they want to hear and what works and what doesn't. Like I think some people have this idea of like, oh, here's what kids are going to think is cool, or like, here's what's wrong with kids TV and here's why I'm going to make it better. And a lot of it is like ignoring what's like developmentally going to help a kid connect to something. Like there is a certain pacing, there is a scaffolding of language that you have to have at the base of something, or else like you're not going to have, they're going to be gone. Like you still want to be able to like make it accessible as you're making it cool and fresh and fun and all these things. So yeah, I think like making sure that I was getting in front of real kids throughout the years that I was working on television was an important way for me to like stay tethered to the actual feeling and to not accidentally escape into like what I think is going to be funny and weird. A lot of times though, it is the same thing. What I think is going to be funny and weird and what they think is going to be funny and weird. I really believe that there is room at the table for absolutely everything, because there is a kid that needs to be met with that kind of silliness, and there's a kid that needs to be met with something smaller and like the whole spectrum, and there's a kid that on a Tuesday they want to be like pulling stuff out of a hat and it's like a rubber chicken and like a lampshade and like whatever, and then they want to be like met with some like sweetness and some tenderness at another day at another time. So I think as long as things are done with like an integrity to the audience, they don't have to be silly. I think it's clear what like the education, if you think of the spectrum between education and entertainment, I can kind of imagine what something that is pure education looks like. And even that is going to have elements of it that are like, especially for kids, that are still playful and engaging and entertaining, but you wouldn't call it entertainment, you'd call it education. On the entertainment side, like it's easier to imagine something that has, I guess, no educational value, but it's like just bells and whistles. But even that, like, yeah, it's like turning my brain to cheese a little bit, because I mean, I want to believe that these things can like swirl together always and forever, that like all great stuff for kids can and should be both educational and entertaining, and even really no. Like I want to believe that we are students of like the whole world. We're students of our entire existence. And so like how to refine the lens of like being able to experience anything as educational. Like where does that come from? Is it like I experience this as educational because it's meant to be educational, or I experience this as educational because I'm a person that is a student of everything?
And so I'm wondering, what's your relationship with hands-on learning? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything. I think like being able to embody something changes the way that we receive it. And I like there are so many things that I like about being able to have your hands working. I mean, we're such a society that's so in our heads, we're on screens, that to be able to make something and like experience the tactile version of play, I think is so useful. And too, we used to say that all the time on Sunny Side Up. The show was live and stuff would go wrong. And some of that we knew was going to make the kids laugh, but like to be able to show a parent, like, yeah, sometimes it's just like the day doesn't go the way you want it to. Like that's just the truth of living. And I think it's like I feel strongly about like being able to rebrand the experience of failure, of messiness, of mistakes, because that's just part of life, and beautiful things come from really tough, unexpected pivots. I think there's like a presence to play that like so many little moments can be made playful by being present with a mistake or present with delight, like noticing something that kids are laughing at or enjoying and then like building on that. I think our place is to try to like locate, okay, where can I expand this moment into something more playful. Also, I think transitions can be a great way to incorporate play. Because I literally, I feel like I keep seeing this on TikTok, like teachers that are using like a song or gestures or some sort of ritual to get into a math lesson or something. And it's like, it's only going to be like a minute anyway, of your day. And so if you make it into something playable or gamify it or make it into some sort of ritual, it can just add a little bit of texture and flavor and like a delight to something that you got to do anyway. Like those teachers that, like, I mean, for younger kids, that when the kids come into the classroom, there's like a handshake. I feel like those get a lot of traction on TikTok and Instagram
Yeah,
Reels.
I've seen some of them, yeah.
And it's such a great way to ground the day in play. And specifically, the ones that I've seen are like each kid has their own different hand sign. And so it's like grounding the day in play and like agency, which is nice too. Like how is each kid personally showing up in the spirit of play that makes sense for them?